James Gunn has shared our first look at Krypto the dog next to its owner Superman. But the question is, how do you all feel about the photo and that Krypto will be included in a Superman film? How do I feel about it? And do you all get a sense that the audience is already rejecting the Superman film that isn't even out yet? But first, welcome back to my channel, where once a week I like to come to you all with a new video discussing some of the latest and greatest news within the DCU. And honestly, there wasn't a ton of news this week except the big drop of Krypto next to his owner Superman that we'll be breaking down in this video. And also, like I said, with the news being kind of light, they are having the New York Comic-Con. They're presenting the Creature Commandos. There might be some Peacemaker things out there. So as I'm recording this, there isn't anything big from the Comic-Con, but I would imagine by next week I'll have some news for you all. But there's still going to be some fun to be had. Like I said, I'll take a look at the photo, share my thoughts with you all, and then we'll dive into a discussion about how do you all feel about the Superman film? Do you get the sense that there's kind of a negative pushback on how people are receiving behind the scenes photos, Superman's suit, the joyful nature of things that's going on? We'll have that discussion in the comments below. But before we get into the discussion, thank you all for clicking on the video. Consider hitting that like button if you like these type of videos. Share your thoughts on the topic we'll be covering, as well as sharing this video to all the DCU fans you know out there. And also consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. With all that being said, let's talk about this photo with Krypto and Superman. So here it is, as James Gunn shared on X and on various internet platforms, with Superman next to Krypto. Now, for me personally, I kind of assumed like this was public knowledge that Krypto was in the film, but maybe it was just those that are on the ground like myself keeping up to date with the DCU, because there was a photo and also a video showing Mr. Terrific in the streets of Metropolis, which I assume where he was in a video as I play on the screen now, as it appears that Mr. Terrific was next to a CGI character, and it was assumed that it was going to be Krypto, and now that's been confirmed. But also, I love the little backstory about how James Gunn decided to put Krypto in the story, as I'll share on the screen. This is from his Instagram post, sharing a little bit of insight of where the inspiration came from. And I just think that's a nice personal story, because look, I have my own little personal dog. Let me bring him in for a quick cameo. So here's my Krypto the dog. His name's Thor. So I know we're talking DC and that's a Marvel character, but this is my little Krypto dog. We'll say what's up, Thor. All right, thank you. So to give you all my thoughts of the photo, I mean, first and foremost, as you can see, I'm a dog owner. I love dogs. I love Krypto and Superman's relationship, but I just, I love that Krypto will be in the film. I think it's going to be a cool little added feature to seeing Krypto kind of being used for the first time ever in a Superman film as far as live action concerned. But words that come to mind as I look at this photo on the screen now is, wholesome, warm, joyful, cheerful. There's just a lot of energy and just happiness that honestly comes from this photo to me personally, and also encouraging. I just get those vibes, and we'll talk about some of the pushback that's been kind of set out there online, but I think this is great. Looking at Superman and Krypto on the moon, looking at Earth, and you can just imagine that might be something from the trailer or like a portion of the film, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But I like the photo, y'all. But speaking to the James Gunn of it all, like I said, I shared the photo or his Instagram post explaining where the inspiration came from, which is a nice personal story, but also just the idea of James Gunn, the creator. We all know from his time with Guardians of the Galaxy and also with Suicide Squad that he likes to include animals in his stories, and he used the animals pretty well. They're not just used for like cheap effects to get the audience kind of feeling emotionally connected to the animal, which there's a little bit of that, but also a lot of his animals play key into the movies, right? Whether it be Rocket and Groot, that relationship, which I can definitely see Superman and having Krypto, having a nice relationship, having a wholesome relationship, seeing Krypto in some action. And honestly, as we kind of talk about that, I don't think Krypto is going to be that heavily involved in the overall movie. Like, I think we're going to see more of Krypto in Supergirl's movie, which if you're familiar with The Woman of Tomorrow, Krypto and Supergirl, like Krypto is very important. Or not to say very important, but it is a pivotal character within that narrative. So I think we're going to see more of Krypto in Supergirl more so than we do in Superman. Like, I would imagine we'll get, like, again, opening of the film, just kind of get that joyfulness, or in the middle of the film, he's going to have Krypto. Because again, based on that video that I showed you all, it looks like Mr. Terrific will be interacting with Krypto, and I would imagine maybe some other characters like Lois maybe comes across Krypto. But again, I don't think it's going to be as heavily involved in the film as we might think of, like I said, a Rocket or a Groot. But going back to the Krypto of it all, this isn't the first time this character has been on the big screen or small screen. I mean, this character's been around for a very long time, since the early or mid 50s. There has been obviously comic book runs of Krypto. There has been animated shows, and most recently, a couple years ago, the DC Super Pets movie. And then in the live action format, he was in Smallville for a short period of time, but also he was in Teen Titans on HBO. And I didn't really like Teen Titans, but I did see those moments when they included Krypto. And that brings me to my next point. How will they use Krypto in this movie of Superman coming out next summer? Will it be from the more comic book origins of Jor-El sending Krypto to Earth before, Kal-El, or going back to the Titans of it all? In that show, if I'm not mistaken, Lex Luthor was testing on Kryptonian, blood and DNA and made Krypto. So I wonder, going back to Nicholas Holtz, and it seems like that's going to be something that Lex Luthor is going to be playing into, if Ultraman's going to be involved in like DNA, Kryptonian DNA, and creating Krypto. Like, I'm very curious on how they're going to introduce Krypto into the story. But neither way, again, just my general impressions. I love it. I'm excited for it. And to address the negativity, there are so many variations of Krypto. And again, you can look at this photo here. I mean, that looks pretty much spot on to this version of Krypto that we're going to be seeing. And it will be CGI, as we saw from the video. And also James Gunn confirmed that. And the dog will not be speaking. So to put people's at ease if they think it's going to be over the top or silly. But I'm excited for it. Let me know what you all think about the photo. What do you think about Krypto? How do you want to be introduced? Let's talk about that in the comments below. Now, the second part of this conversation I want to have with you all is the feeling that everything outside of the casting of the Superman film since then has been received with negativity, whether it be David Cornsweet in the costume for the first time, whether it be the idea that there's all these characters in this film. Like, is Superman going to be even the main character in his own movie? And again, even the photo that released with Krypto, people talking about, oh, that's not my Krypto. That doesn't look like the Krypto I know. Like, a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of people that are just complaining for the sake of complaining. But I just want to have the conversation. Do you all get the sense? And again, I'm presenting this in a sense of like in my small bubble of like being on Twitter and X and just my online sphere that I see people having conversations about. It's not all negativity, but I feel like there is like a section of people, and number one, there is a section of people that are just being haters for the sake of being haters. And there's also the sector of people that, even like myself, I like the Zack Snyder universe. I love Man of Steel. I love Henry Cavill in the role. And I know that there are people that are still bitter or upset that Zack Snyder's universe will not be continuing, and also Henry Cavill will not be our Superman. So I know that there's those side of the fans, but I feel like a lot of the other people are just being haters. But again, do you all feel like the negativity is going to affect the Superman film? Like, will there be a pushback from not just comic book fans, DC fans, Zack Snyder fans, but like the general audience? Like, do you all feel like they will accept this new kind of hopeful, at least from what it seems from the photos and how James Gunn's been talking about how this is like a Superman you want to hug, and you kind of get that vibe from everything we've seen so far? But will the general audience accept that more traditional version of the character? I mean, honestly, some people have grown to love the darker, more serious and brooding character that we've seen in Man of Steel or BVS and parts of the Justice League film. But not only that, I feel like in the last like 4 or 5 years, there has been like this general acceptance of darker superheroes, right? Whether it be, and most of them, I'm not talking about comic books, but like the media, television and movies. Think of The Boys on Amazon, which I love that series. Think of even Invincible on Amazon. Like, I feel like there has been, and then even going back to the Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's universe, the last 10, 12 years or so, now that was first introduced, or 11 years, people kind of like the darker characters. Like, again, from everything we've heard from James Gunn, the presentation we've seen so far, how he's going to be presenting the Superman, kind of being an homage to the Donner 78 Superman with Christopher Reeves. And again, even the more traditional comic books of Superman, the hopeful, joyful type of character. Is that something that people want to see? Again, not comic book fans, but the general audience. Do they want the darker version? Do they want a sillier version? Like, I'm very curious on how people will accept, again, what everything has been presented to us, the more Boy Scout, traditional good guy, and everything that we've seen from, again, the behind the scenes. We haven't seen a trailer or anything from this film yet, but having characters a la the Authority, the, Mr. Terrifics of the world, Hulk Girl, and all the various characters that we've seen so far. And there, of course, will be more. Like I would imagine Supergirl will be in the film, but you have certain characters like the Authority who are kind of the other side of Superman, right? They want to help and do the right thing, but they do it in a much different way, a more grittier, more darker way. And Superman being that beacon of hope. And it's almost like the way James Gunn is surrounding this universe is the world's kind of in chaos, and Superman's going to be they're building a world around Superman. Like it's not Superman then building outside of it. He's going to be in this world that is maybe chaotic, maybe not as hopeful. He's going to bring that version of hope. But I'm excited for that, man. Like I said, even though I'm a fan of The Boys, I love Henry Cavill, I love Zack Snyder's universe, but even me, I'm accepting this new version, or not even a new version, but the more traditional version with the sensibilities that James Gunn's going to add to the character. And let's not get it twisted. Like, I'm pretty confident that James Gunn will bring some flair to David Corenswet. Like, even David Corenswet himself will bring probably that hopeful but a badass nature to the character, an adventurous nature to the character, a little bit of a sillier side to the character. So I am very confident in that nature. But also, I want to go back to the conversation about, because I've seen this online too, the negativity around all these characters, from Lois to Jimmy to Lex Luthor to the Authority, or at least members of the Authority, to Hawk Girl, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, now Krypto the dog. Like, all these characters, this film is overstuffed. Like, is this a Superman film or is this a Justice League movie? In my mind, I could be wrong, but I have faith in James Gunn. Number one, like, shown us that he knows what to do with an ensemble cast and how to handle the ensemble cast, but also these are characters in a movie, right? I mean, of course, they're well known. Some of them are well known. Some of them will be new to the audience, but these are just characters in a movie like any other traditional movie. And that's how the movie's going to operate. He's going to interact with some of these characters as Clark, as Superman. Some of these characters will interact with each other. That might not include Superman. They're just characters in the film. And also, this is the first live action DCU project. Obviously, we're going to get Creature Commandos coming first, but this is introducing us to the live action version of the world. So of course you want to introduce some characters and then branch them off to other sectors of the DC universe. But again, I don't feel like it's overstuffed. I feel like these are just regular characters like you would see in any movie and even superhero movies themselves, but they're characters in a movie. They're in the world. They're going to branch out later. And I don't see this being a problem at all. Like, I could be wrong, but again, based on his track record as far as James Gunn, I'm confident that it's going to feel natural. It's going to be a fleshed out world, and it's going to be Superman interacting with characters in his movie. So again, let me know what you all think about just how do you feel about the public's perception on everything we've gotten from Superman, from even the casting of Superman with David Corenswet, to him being in his first costume, the photo that we got, to obviously the most recent photo with Krypto the dog, and just the idea that there's too many characters. Are people going to be acceptable of a more hopeful, cheerful, joyful, kind of encouraging, a Superman you can hug type of persona to the character? Or will there be major pushback, and will that affect excitement around the film? When we get the first trailer, will people be blowing up about it? Will it be analyzed like we normally get with the MCU projects? And what do you anticipate the reception will be when things start rolling into gear? Because it will be a 2025 of Superman advertisements, Super Bowl commercials. I would imagine we'll get our first teaser by the end of this year. But let me know what you think about all that in the comments below. So again, not a ton of news to go over, but I had fun talking to you all about the Superman conversation and everything that we talked about in this video. And I would assume over the weekend there will be some Creature Commando conversations, maybe another trailer, some information about the TV show coming out in December. There may be something around Peacemaker, because James Gunn has confirmed that Creature Commandos will lead into Peacemaker. So there may be some other New York Comic-Con news. But outside of that, like I said, it was pretty light on the news. But also, before we wrap up, Penguin killing it right now. It's #1 again. Episode 5 was incredible. The mid-season trailer was, or episode 4, most recent episode, I can't remember 4 or 5, but I'm so excited for Penguin. Can't wait to talk to you all about the new episode on Sunday. But hey, that's going to be in this video. Let me know your thoughts about everything we talked about in the comments below. And again, if you enjoy these type of videos, hit the like button, share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course, consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget, you all are awesome. Stay safe. I'll see you Sunday for the Penguin, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.